That paper on page 16 to 17 of Cameroon Tribune for today. Religion Sunday is Easter. You can find details on page 16 to 17 on Cameroon Tribune for this day. From Cameroon Tribune, we crossed over to Le Quotidien. Le Quotidien reports on the Yaoundé Municipal Lake that now gets a new facelift after the engagement from the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development and that of the Yaoundé City Council to give the Municipal Lake of Yaoundé a new facelift, according to the paper of Le Quotidien for this morning. From that paper, in that set paper, the paper gives us these dolphins of Paul Biya in the Kribis section of the CPDM political party. You can find that story on page 9. And we move over to Mutation. Mutation for this morning says Cameroon Senegal, the presidential auction. You can find details on Mutation of Cherry Diaga for today. And we crossed over to the judicial system. It says Abudi Uto or Counteract. You can find more on that publication for today. Boisson to Cameroon invests 21 billion CFA francs in her new factory in the city of Yaoundé. And My Hospital newspaper for today celebrate Professor Felicien Dondi Eyimbe, who gives the tornado regarding the Yaoundé Teaching Hospital mortuary. Get to read more on that publication of My Hospital for today. Fight against tuberculosis. The Association of TP Pole on the forefront against the fight against tuberculosis as the world celebrated World Tuberculosis Day some days ago. Solidarity, the paper report on Remedic launches and the call for the contribution of blood to be given to most hospitals, public hospitals in the country. Vanguard from Nigeria talks of Adberia grieving families of slain soldiers, demand justice. And in that said paper of Vanguard, Edogobe, PDP, APC, Labour, 13 others beats INEC deadline, nominates candidates. And in that said publication, Vice President Shetima expresses confidence as Naira strengthened further. And in that said publication, Dangote, Elumelu, Rabiu, others listed as Tinubu get Economic Coordination Council. Get to read details on Vanguard newspaper for this morning. We're remaining with the Nigerian tabloids. This time around with the Punch. The Punch for this morning says slain soldiers burial. Tinubu insists on killers arrested as family demands justice. In that said publication, President Tinubu 50 members emergency team gets 6 months to rescue the economy of Nigeria. SMI and NIN subscriber kick against Friday deadline, demands extension. We move over to something else. This time around, the Defense Intelligence Agency holding abducted Lagos editor-in-chief. And in that said publication, Nigerian Labour Congress NLC faults Boris return Labour tip obese for 2025 presidential elections in Nigeria. Punch Sports Extra for this morning talks of clip wings. You can find details on the Code to Parliament on that gentleman, on that said publication, the honorable gentleman, of course. We will take you to something else with the Women Advocates paper. That is Ladies News for this morning. Report on women emancipation in politics. It says 50-50 for all. You get to read details on that publication for today. And this other story, fight against tuberculosis, how women are championing the cause against the fight against tuberculosis in that country, according to Ladies News for this morning. In that said publication, Cynthia Eyedzi, a veritable combatant. You can find details on the lady on the women's paper, the Ladies News for today. Away from Ladies News viewers, we crossed over to the next publication for today. That is the Eagle's Eyes. The Eagle's Eyes for today report on Honorable Ngoko Mamba gives rock celebrations, and Honorable Mbwagbu Naomi donates essential tools and supplies to constituents. And on the editorial of the Eagle's Eyes for this day talks of juvenile delinquency, a call for collective action, according to the editorial of that publication for today. The Guardian Post for this morning report on Christopher Fominio. He says leading voice on African democracy despised by the Biya regime hailed globally. You can find details on the gentleman who was the Under Secretary General of the United Nations Organization some years back. Editorial: Presidential Elections, CPDM Anniversary Not Bias Campaign. In that said publication, Acquire Subdivision Population Trail captures Amber General Akko Giant. Get with details on that on the Guardian Post for today. From the Guardian Post, we crossed over to Les Zened. Les Zened for this morning talks of the crisis in the Anglophone regions, precisely that of the Northwest region, as the paper gave the take on the governor of the Northwest region, Adolf Lila Freak. You can find details on the gentleman over there from the Northwest region. And Young and Formal Division, it talks of the senior divisional officer who engages with traditional rulers in order to address certain burning issues of that division of the central region. We move over to something else. We Lebedemang for today talks of Pong Dongo Biko. It talks of the force of mobilization of one of the big militants and followers of the CPCM there in the South region. 45 division, the paper subdivision, I beg your pardon, the paper reports on 100% votes in favor of President Paul Biya come the 2025 general elections. A Pavia Afrique for this morning reports on the 39th anniversary of President of the CPDM party in Buda. It talks of the sons and daughters of Bambutos who stand solidly behind Paul Biya. You get read more on A Pavia Afrique for today. From that publication, we crossed over to another African publication, Fiche d'Afrique. Fiche d'Afrique talks of performance. They say the mayor of some of the councils of Garoua Bulai Adamu will receive this excellence prize for his outstanding services done over there at the Garoua Bulai Council in the East region of the country. We will move over to something else. This time around, Luju reports on American Index Tribalism in the States. You can find details on this American Index that reveal on how tribalism is intensifying in the states of Cameroon and quite endemic all across all stratas of the Republic of Cameroon, according to the paper of Luju. For this morning, from Luju, we take you to Health News. Health News reports on National Immunization Strategy. Dr. Malona Malachi mobilizes private sector to increase funding. In that said paper, Fighting Tuberculosis, the TB People Association screen 100 people in Yaoundé. You can find details on that set publication for today. We take you to the last newspaper on our disposal for today. Investigating full report on International Day for Water. It talks of how Water wants to make sure potable water is available across all households of the Republic of Cameroon. Viewers, with that paper of Investigating full, this is what put a pause on the first part of the program. But do not move a muscle. We'll be back with our reviewer immediately after this. Hey there, viewers of High Television, you are all welcome to the second part of the program reserved for our review. Our reviewer for this morning is Chebuzi, who is the correspondent of the Pilot newspaper all the way from Bamenda. Good morning to you, Chebuzi, and you're heartily welcome.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning to all the viewers of High Television. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, let's move over to business. We start off with the first paper for the day. We start off with municipal update of Victor Cham for this morning. Have as lead story. It says paradox of the century: Cameroonians prioritize beer consumption over voters registration.
It's an interesting one there, Larry. And of course, like the paper has it, it's the paradox of the century. We a year from elections, and the turnout of young Cameroonians, to be precise, and generally Cameroonians, is quite low. Yeah. But if you look in at these statistics, you discover that it is just the consumption for Boissons du Cameroon, as it is now called, formerly Brasseries du Cameroon. meaning that all these others like maybe UCB, Suze the Pay, and the rest, their figures are not part of that. And just Boisson du Cameroon, they have over 1 billion liters which Cameroonians have been able to consume this far. It's thought-provoking. It's thought-provoking, and especially at a time when we had the changes in Senegal, Cameroonians are boasting of drinking. They're not pushing towards elections. They're not looking at anything relevant in the elections, but they are more interested in drinking away their troubles. It means maybe everything is well in this country. So when we start complaining and we are not ready to do what will bring about the change, then it's confusing, because if we are complaining that there is need for change, then we should be able to follow up the electoral process to ensure that we can vote to bring the changes we want. So I think it's high time Cameroonians get away from the stupor, because after the drinking we have to face the reality of our country, and we can only change things, make things better, when we cast our votes, be them in the municipal elections, in the parliamentary, or in the presidential elections.
Definitely, but I want to find out from you, what should be done for this? Can we call it a malpractice or an unhealthy behavior from Cameroonians from this quest and test for alcoholic products?
You know, Larry, little or nothing can be done actually. Cigarettes has on it. It seriously damages your health. It's all written on it. I see in recent years they've added there two is it other kidneys or so, indicating the one which of a smoker and the one of a normal person. People still buy it and they don't give a hell about that. Drinking, if cigarettes has not been banned, then you cannot be thinking about banning drinking. However, I think it's just an issue of educating people the necessity. At the end of the day, we're drinking away our lives. We came and met food, we came and met drinks, we came and met beer. We'll die and go live it, and we'll only be remembered by the contributions we gave to our country, we gave to our homeland. I think it's just an issue for stakeholders from various sectors to see how they could educate people on the benefits of living purposefully, on something more purposeful living than beer. And it's a two-way traffic, in as much as the general public, maybe through some of these non-governmental organizations, have a part to play, as well the government has its own role to play. Maybe if jobs are provided, though that's I say so with a heavy heart. I don't know so much how government can provide jobs, but maybe let's say the government provides an adequate
what about the private sector?
That's what I want to talk about, where an adequate environment where the private sector can grow, can thrive. In that way, jobs can be created for Cameroonians, and maybe when they get more busy, they will leave beer. But the tendency as well is that when people get busy and they end up working money, they drink more.
Can you imagine?
So at the end of the day, it's more a mindset. It's more a psychological problem, which we can only handle maybe through counseling, through civic education, through sensitization, through awareness, and you name it.
All right, we move over to the Northwest region, this time around from Boyo Division. That is the Bello Council, where councillors salute the developmental strides of the mayor of Bello Council, who has been doing quite a lot. This was during the council session that took place over there in Bello of Boyo Division of the Northwest region.
Maybe I start by first of all congratulating the mayor, but I don't take such stories seriously.
Oh, why so?
Councillors come to congratulate the mayor. All of them then in the same pot of soup, right? We expect to see the populations. They are the people who are the least of the activities. They are the ones who feel the impact. They are the ones who know if the mayor is doing his work or not. But the councillors I don't know if from the sessions when they come and gather, they have their small packages which they go back with. So
Certainly.
of course they will thank the mayor and thank the head of state and thank everyone. But the people, the local, the population, they're the ones who, at the end of 4 years, because it's almost 4 years since they were voted, next year makes it 5, and for elections to hold again, who can tell us if the mayor has been able to deliver, and what and how much in the various sectors, maybe in farming, because I know Bello is a farming community, how much they've been able to impact in terms of farm to market roads, maybe assisting the farmers with subsidies, fertilizers, maize seeds, and you name it. In terms of the primary schools, I know the councils are in charge of primary schools, how they've been able to give out didactic materials to these schools to ensure that the students or the pupils of these schools receive quality education, and you name it. So I think all of this is just window dressing. Okay. If the population is the one congratulating the mayor, it makes more sense.
Okay, but this time around it's a councillor.
Yeah.
It's a councillor, so we see where that is coming from. And let's take you to the Women Advocates newspaper, Ladies News. Ladies News for this morning talks of women emancipation in the political space. It's day 1 50-50 in all strata, both in the political and beyond politics in the country. We are getting to election 2025, general elections 2025, and women are speaking via the Women Advocates newspaper of Ladies News. What do you make of the 50-50 in position of women?
You know, Larry, I write for a female magazine, Female Frontiers, so I, to an extent, have empathy towards the plight.
A lawyer for women.
Of kind of. However, I have heard it often said that power is not given, it is seized.
Yeah.
It would be a paradox to hear that the women are crying for equality when they are the majority.
Yeah.
Because if we are 25 million of Cameroonians, we should be looking at close to 15 million women for a minimum. Yeah. So the women are a majority, and they are the ones who hold much in their hands. So I think in as much as they have to be given, but it's high time the women come together and seize these opportunities. Because these opportunities, crying year in year out, when you're able to do the voting, then who do you blame? You'd of course have to blame yourself. So I think the women should be able to stand up and vote themselves, because I tell you what, if for example in the Boya Oban constituency a woman wants to go in for parliamentarian, the most who will stand up against her are mostly women,
and they are being teleguided.
Why not saying a woman? Man you want only show say me go picking and they ask me go they look at picking them.
And some of these women are being teleguided by the men. Where we have seen scenarios of divide and rule.
And maybe some of them are amongst parties, and I don't know. Which in such parties as well, they're not being given the space. I think as well this is thought provoking, because sometimes the women should be given a voice.
Okay, sure.
I remember a woman like Michelle Ndoki, as he will be called in French, in formerly in the Emirate of Maurice Kamto. She started raising eyebrows. She wanted to be presidential candidate, but somehow she was expelled from the party. The party didn't want to hear that, though that's a fundamental issue which others who have tried to raise their voices, their face. But I think women should be given the opportunity, in as much as they need to seize it. But in such these gatherings, they need to be given the opportunity. I tell you, women who have been able to man various structures have been able to do so well. Look at the University of Buea, for example. Its pioneer vice chancellor, Professor Dorothy Limunga Jema. She's been praised up to today, and many people come from time to time and say the university under her was something at its peak. They saw so much transformation, and the vision she gave the university has been able to keep the university afloat to today. So I think women are doing so much, and they need to be given the opportunity in every sphere.
All right.
They find themselves.
All right, we are talking women, and this time around we go to a newspaper that is being headed by a woman, Marie Claire Nana, that is Cameroon Tribune. Cameroon Tribune for this morning says electoral period, disinformation in danger, as some stakeholders organize a workshop over there in Yaoundé to counteract disinformation during electoral period, as next year is general elections in Cameroon.
Disinformation is a cankerworm which we definitely need to watch out for. When we talk about disinformation, we're talking about the deliberate attempt to spread false information. It's not like you're not aware, but you know pretty well that this thing is a lie. So it goes together in the political field with propaganda. You know pretty well this is fake, but you spread it all the same, just maybe to sell out your candidate, to tarnish another person. And some people even just do all of this for no aim. They just do it for the sake of doing it, for the fun that comes with it. I think it's very timely. It's very timely, and I remember a PhD defense by Henry Macaulay of CRTV last week or 2 weeks ago on regarding the upcoming elections. He was focusing on the social media and how the social media can play, or how the social media was used in the 2020 or 2018 presidential elections to cause so much trouble. And in one of his proposals, he said that if we build on Antique, that's the organization in charge of the social media
telecommunication regulatory board.
Of course, we can empower them through financial resources and you name it, such that they are able to manage the social media space. When such information is being posted, they are able to put it down within seconds. Because you see in a social media space, because primarily, in as much as the conventional media spreads false information, journalists are being instrumentalized, but then the social media today is used more in that aspect. You see, just with a second, any Tom, Dick and Harry at any end of the city is able to have a Facebook account, go type this, that, and it spreads and people think it's the right thing. So he proposed that Antique could be empowered such that once an information comes up, in just seconds, it's being pulled down. Because we've had instances where misleading information is being put up and it takes days. In fact, no one even cares about it. And this information continues to pose problems to Cameroonians. Some people see it and they believe the thing is true, and it takes so much time for people to come over it. And so, as well, he talked about stakeholders, political stakeholders, coming on board to ensure that there is honesty, because they are the ones who sometimes spearhead this disinformation for their personal aim. But if we can come to that consciousness where we can try to be honest with ourselves and honest with the public, it will greatly help us and help against the spread of disinformation. And it's something which we all need to try at this point in time to start looking out for, especially as elections is forthcoming. So once you see anything on the internet or even on the newspapers, on the TV, you don't take it for the gospel truth.
That is it.
You try to find out, you try to
how real it is,
how real it is, because even the sources, because general information is gotten from sources, the sources of the TV might have an issue,
and they decide to distort.
Of course, and so at the end of the day, you see all of that happen. So we should be able to fact check, cross-check, and all of that to ensure that the right information as journalists is being given out. And as well, the public shouldn't just take down everything for the gospel truth, but should be able to go through, put down the statistics. Because, for example, you see someone talking about maybe an issue, chaos in Buea. You see a picture, it doesn't resemble anywhere like Buea, and you are the one spreading it. Because at such a time like this, people would put up things and images which do not even relate, and there are things on it which show that these are not these cities. Maybe we even see the military men, they don't wear uniforms which look like the Cameroon military, but we don't care to find out. All we do is we start forwarding in groups. Share. If you don't share, it means you don't have concern. People just share as received. So we should try as much as possible to find out about information before we start doing the sharing.
All right, we talk on education. They on Cameroon Tribune. Cameroon Tribune for this morning is reporting on page 16 to 17 that says second term ends. The paper goes a long way to give on how the 2-week holiday is going to look like. So what do you make of this Easter holiday for pupils, students all across the nation, according to the caption of Cameroon Tribune?
Listening to the radio a week or two ago, that's CRTV Boya, the regional station.
CRTV Southwest.
CRTV Southwest, thank you. There was a follow-up towards school resumptions in the Southwest. The regional delegate, secondary education was brought, and other divisional delegates from across the region were brought on board to talk about how the first semester has been unfolding.
First term.
Oh, sorry. The
first term
has been unfolding and all of that. Now, generally, as usual, maybe the appraisal was positive and everything seemingly was moving well. And I think that's been the case across the region. Though we had a major incident this second term, if my memory is well, that of in GBHS Etukebe, where there was the riot and the vandalism.
Yeah.
That aside, I think it's been an enriching second term where we've had relative peace, though we've had as well cases, and I think the ministry together with all other stakeholders need to look into all of these cases, irregularities, having secondary education establishments on the news for the wrong reasons. It doesn't speak to it. But I think overall, apart from maybe the English speaking regions and some divisions which are grappling seriously with insecurity, resumptions or this second term has been very well across the national territory, and we look forward to the end of the academic year positively, and think that the 2024-2025 academic year will be much better, where we would have many more pupils and students in this part of the country go back to school and have education, which is a fundamental human right, and of course a way to a better future.
Definitely, and we thank Marie-Claire Nana for that educational story on Cameroon Tribune newspaper's front page for this morning. We cross over to Mitasiong. This time around, Mitasiong talks of Cameroon, Senegal, the presidential unction or presidential tactics between Senegalese and the Cameroonians, as that paper for today titles that. So what do you make of the similarities, differences?
You know, it's been reoccurrent in the news. It's been reoccurrent in the news, the Senegalese Cameroon comparison, and it will be so for a very long time. The bottom line is simple: Cameroonians need to wake up from sleep. Cameroonians need to take their future in their hands, but maybe they are doing so already, because we saw already so many people asking President Pobia to stand and stand for presidential elections.
Those were the CPDM.
Yeah, those of the CPDM and the presidential majority. So basically, I think as well, and this story going together with that of the alcohol consumption, I think it's a precarious situation which the youths need to stand up and sit up